Karyn, good morning to you once again. There is an awful amount, of course, we can go through as far as what now happens ahead of March next year. But a lot of people now asking questions, witnesses that are going to be brought in to speak at this trial and to testify at the trial. What do you have for us?
Well, there are 106 witnesses on the witness list that the state has provided to the defence. Gareth, remember that they don't necessarily have to call all of those people. If they don't call in, they then become available to the defence as potential defence witnesses. Interestingly enough, there has been a few notable exclusions from that witness list. We know that when this matter went to court for the bail amendment application brought by Pistorius' lawyers, the state furnished the defence team with a list of provisional witnesses that they didn't want him to associate with. And chief amongst those potential witnesses was, of course, rugby player Francois Hoogart, someone with whom Reeva Steenkamp had a relationship with at one stage. Now, we know that Hoogart has publicly said he did not want to be involved in this matter and had nothing to say about this case. It now appears that the state agrees with him. He is not on the witness list. People who are on the witness list, of course, are the Myers family, with whom Reeva Steenkamp was living in the months and days before her death. Gina Myers has refused to speak publicly about Reeva's relationship with Oscar Pistorius, but she has made it clear that the young woman did speak to her about a number of issues which may be potentially helpful to the state's case, that this relationship was far from rosy. We also know that Cecil Myers, of course Gina's father, is on that witness list. He, of course, is the man who identified Reeva Steenkamp's body and then told the City Press newspaper that he, in fact, wished he had tried to save Reeva Steenkamp from Oscar Pistorius, painting him very much as a jealous stalker boyfriend in the beginning of the pair's relationship. So definitely those kind of people will be the ones that the defence worry the most about in terms of the insights they can provide to the state about the dynamics of Oscar's relationship with Reeva Steenkamp. Also a number of technical experts. We're talking forensics, we're talking ballistics, we're talking blood spatter experts, we're talking really the finest of the experts available to the state at this point. We don't really have a sense of what the telephonic experts that they'll be getting, because of course that examination and investigation into Pistorius' phone is still ongoing. Interestingly enough, also on that witness list is police forensic psychologist Gerard Labuschagne, of course very well known in South Africa for the work he's done amongst serial killers and serial rapists, but he was one of the first people called to examine Oscar Pistorius on an informal basis in the moments after his arrest.
Karyn, for the benefit of viewers that perhaps weren't watching our live coverage with Joanne and I earlier this morning, take us through the look of Oscar Pistorius, what he was like as he entered the courtroom. We know he was praying with his younger sister and his brother Carl as well. Give us a sense of his composure and what he was like in court.
Well, he's definitely the most emotional that he's been in any court appearance, apart from the bail application, which was when his indictment was read into the record. He sobbed throughout that appearance when his defense lawyer read out what he said had happened that night. The magistrate at one stage asking him today if he was okay, he said under the circumstances, but did not complete the sentence. During that impromptu prayer meeting with his siblings, he often took tissues from his older brother Carl, was visibly emotional, crying throughout. But Gareth, this has been a day of extreme emotion for everyone involved in this case. Of course, everyone will know that today would have been Reeva Steenkamp's 30th birthday, a day that she would have hoped to have celebrated with friends, family and loved ones. 6 months before she would have turned 30, however, she was killed by a man who professed to love her, and definitely her family members and her close Joburg friends and family, the Myers family, displaying a great deal of emotion when they attended the court hearing today. Clearly it was very difficult for them to be in the same court as Oscar Pistorius, later releasing a statement after the appearance saying, honouring Reeva Steenkamp, honouring her life, and drawing attention to the fact that her birthday was in a month where South Africans needed to honour South African women and really highlight the plight of women who face victimization by men they love.
And Karyn, just as a final question to you, could you take us through the actual 2 charges that Oscar Pistorius is now going to be facing? One, I understand, revolves around the Firearms Control Act. Could you elaborate?
Well, essentially what happened was when the police searched Oscar Pistorius' home, they found a number of pieces of ammunition. He later said that they belonged to his father. The police and the NPA are pursuing a charge for illegal possession of that ammunition, which in itself may carry a 15-year sentence. Of course, Oscar Pistorius' lawyers arguing that they can prove that it was not his ammunition and that he had no intention to keep that ammunition. Of course, the murder charge itself being detailed by the state, saying that they have evidence that in fact there was clear sounds of screaming before the shots were fired, and indeed after some of those shots were fired, suggesting that they have witness evidence from residents who have painted a very different picture of the events of that early morning than Oscar Pistorius had. Of course, he claimed in his bail application that there was no argument and that he got no warning of who was behind that door when he fired those fatal shots.
Karyn Maughan, for the moment, thank you very much indeed. From inside the story and indeed from inside the courtroom earlier this morning at the Pretoria Magistrates Court, just outside there is our reporter Karyn Maughan. Back to her with more throughout today.
News that moves. eNCA.com.